And hello, welcome to Open, the show opening the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm Daren, Jaime, and today we're going to update you on what's happening in and around our borough, as well as across New York City. Coming up, we'll sit with two directors presenting their films at this year's annual African Diaspora International Film Festival. Afterwards, we'll learn about an adult degree program ensuring a successful transition going back to college. And then we'll discuss the Einstein's new Diversity and Inclusion Associate Dean and what medical professions and soon-to-be doctors need to know. And then finally, we'll discuss a recent verdict from a medical malpractice case from Jacoby Medical Center. More details later on in the show. Stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Because right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm Daren, Jaime, and you are now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to Manhattan Neighborhood Network as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on the MNN channel. You can also stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. And of course, we'd love to catch you watching. Well, some things have been going on through the course of the past week. We'll take you through some of it with our Bronx updates. We start with education news. With 47 schools throughout the boroughs and over 17,000 students enrolled, Success Academy has the best public charter schools in New York City, according to their website. However, one parent is calling for changes at one of the locations. Our BronxNet reporter Sanji Lopez has more.
With 47 schools throughout the boroughs and over 17,000 students enrolled, Success Academy claims to have the best public charter schools in New York City, according to their website. But a Bronx parent says one of their locations at North Central Harlem is not living up to its name.
August school started and they haven't had a science teacher. And lately the principal we went in a meeting the other day and the principal told us that no teachers had quit, but I called the teachers and they said that they quit. So there's a lot of turnovers and there's no communication between the parents of what's going on and in the school, and we have to hear from this from the kids.
Monique is a concerned Bronx parent. She posted this clip on social media of students sitting outside of a classroom protesting in response to not having a science teacher for over 3 months. In the clip, a teacher can be overheard threatening the students with suspension. Monique's son, who is in the 8th grade, was amongst the students suspended a week later.
But anybody who is still here in the next 2 minutes will be suspended.
To my understanding, the kids were not suspended, but then a few weeks, last week, Thursday, all the kids were sent to home because they didn't have a teacher. I don't know what's going on. I just want our kids to have all the opportunities available. And like I told the principal, right now you're harming Black and brown kids in a community that's predominantly Black and brown, and all your staff is mostly white. All the staff is mostly white, and they don't have no management, no classroom management.
BronxNet reached out to Success Academy for a statement addressing these issues, including the suspensions and the lack of a science teacher. We received this response from Chief of Public Affairs Ann Powell. Quote, "We think it's important to listen to parents and be responsive to their concerns. We've made some changes at this school, which we believe will address the concerns. Parents expect a lot from us, and they should. We're committed to making their children's educational experience the best it can be," unquote. Monique has since requested her son be transferred to another Success Academy location. She says it's still important to advocate for other students and parents at North Central Harlem.
Personally, that would not be an acceptable explanation. That's why I requested my son to be put out of the Success Academy Harlem Northeast, because they weren't helping him. Like, now he's in a different school in another Success Academy. It seems like it's, way better, and he likes it. And the teachers, there are teachers that are working, and they have been there for a few years, as I was told by the assistant principal. So hopefully they get their act together. I think the administration really needs to take into consideration, like, who they're hiring. Hire people that look like our students. Have a plan. Don't let things go without being communicated to parents.
Reporting for BronxNet, Sonji Lopez.
And thank you, Sanji. We, of course, will continue to follow that story as more develops. In other news, health disparities affect a large percentage of New Yorkers on a daily basis, which is why Public Health Solutions has opened up a new WIC office in East Tremont to support Bronxites in reaching their optimal health. Our BronxNet reporter, Brittany Schuyler-Aubain, has a story.
Health disparities affect a large percentage of New Yorkers on a daily basis, which is why Public Health Solutions has opened up a new WIC office in East Tremont to support Bronxites in reaching optimal health.
We are really excited to be opening our new WIC center. We're a block from our old WIC center.
The small move has made a great impact on the company, as David calls the office fresh and new, and is eager to have their office reflect the respect they show to their clients. More importantly, the move to the new location has allowed PHS to increase its staff, allowing more clients to be seen quicker.
It was really great to be able to find this location where we have a designated classroom, a separate hematology room, anthropometry room. It's great for the participants so that they have a dedicated breastfeeding room, clean, separate space for them to breastfeed.
The mission at Public Health Solutions is to reduce health inequities for all New Yorkers. While they provide several services such as food and nutrition access, health insurance access, and maternal and child health services, their main focus is on addressing food insecurity in the borough. As David mentioned, the Bronx is the hungriest borough and only got worse during the pandemic, which is why PHS does whatever it takes to ensure families have nutritious meals at home.
Providing access, especially to these young families, to nutritious food is incredibly needed.
If you're in need of assistance, be sure to check out the new and improved Public Health Solutions WIC Center in the East Tremont section of the Bronx. Reporting for BronxNet, Brittany Schuyler-Aubain.
And thank you, Brittany. That is all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We are taking a quick break, but we do have more open when we return, so stay with us.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Thanks for hearing me out, bro.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
Is it time yet?
It's time.
I'm starting time for dinner.
Oh, it's Riverdale.
Donating pet food is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Man, it's lonely. Like, going through life lonely.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music, just expressing how you feel. I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, make it into a song.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Thank you so much.
Fostering a pet for a friend or neighbor can keep families together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how's sketches? Ready? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Look at that. You even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
And welcome back. The African Diaspora International Film Festival is a minority-led, not-for-profit international film festival presenting and educating about films, exploring the human experiences of people of color all over the world in order to inspire imaginations, disrupt stereotypes, and help transform attitudes, perpetuating injustice. The festival will be continuing all the way until December the 11th. And joining us now to share more details, we've got the co-director and co-founder of the African Diaspora International Film Festival, Diarah and Dawa Speck. And then we've also got documentarian Nyasha, I should say, Laing. And good to have you both.
Thank you for
Great
having
to be
us.
here.
Yes, and so Diarah, I'll start with you. Festivals going on, and obviously an opportunity for people to really tap into a diverse group of people with a diverse perspective on life, culture, and the world.
Yes, absolutely. And we have a wonderful lineup of films from the Caribbean in particular. You know, there's a strong retention, African retention in the Caribbean. And we have films from Cuba, from Haiti, from Barbados, from Jamaica, from the Dominican Republic. And I think, you know, one of the highlights is a film called Sugarcane Malice that talks about the working conditions of Haitian workers in the Dominican Republic through the voice of the workers. That's a very important film and not to be missed. And of course, we have Kumina Queen, which is one of the films that we are delighted to have the filmmaker with us on that film.
Yeah, and so we've got the filmmaker herself here with us, and we're glad to have her sharing. And Nyasha, talk to us about Kumina Queen.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. And I love BronxNet for all that you do to promote sort of diaspora communities, especially in New York. Kumina is a ritual, a traditional African ancestral spiritual form from Jamaica that has origins in the Congo and is still alive in Jamaica. And I made this film because I was inspired by a woman named Queenie, who was a priestess, a contemporary, a modern day priestess in this practice. And she channeled the music and the dance and the rituals into, you know, in her life, into healing practices, and also made it popular around the world by bringing it to places like the Smithsonian and the Commonwealth Festival in the UK.
And Nyasha, talk to me about the fact of just having your film being seen at this documentary right here in New York City. Got to be a great feeling to be able to have this documentary around.
Absolutely. I'm really excited to screen this in New York because, again, you know, as Diarah mentioned, our Caribbean communities are thriving. And I would wager to say there are probably people in New York that practice or hold on to this particular tradition and some of the music and dance around it even more than some of the people back home in Jamaica. So I'm hoping that it can touch people, and I'm looking forward to the conversations. And this is, you know, I myself have roots in Belize and then ancestry in Jamaica. So we're all connected. And I just love how in a place like New York, we can share our stories, lineages, and look, you know, to the future by exploring culture in this way.
Yeah. Diarah, talk to us, 30th anniversary. We talked before, but talk about why this year is something different for you.
Well, you know, it's a landmark, 30 years. I didn't really know that we would be going on for 30 years. But the fact of the matter is, even though there's an explosion of films that deal with the Black experience, especially in the commercial, you know, space and on streaming, etc., I think that the festival has, you know, brings another dimension in terms of the, you know, like the opportunity for deeper conversation the films that we present are rooted in the reality of the Black experience. And so they are they provide a chance for dialogue across different communities. And for anyone interested in learning more and thinking about social justice and empowerment in the Black community, the festival is a great place. And I'm so thrilled that after 30 years, we continue to do this work, and it's still as important today as it is, because even though there's a lot of things happening, a lot of it is based on entertainment more so than on the reality. And what we offer is a deeper conversation, as I said earlier. So I think it's, I'm happy to be able to be back in person, because it was, for 2 years, it was on streaming, and that you don't have that opportunity to have a connection. So we have filmmakers coming from the UK, from the Netherlands, from France, from Brazil, from, the Caribbean, from Dominican Republic. So I think that's really interesting to be able to have that moment where we as Black people connect together, get a chance to really exchange and discover our own, specificity in our cultural realities, and at the same time exchange and learn. It's a beautiful thing.
Nyasha, talk to me about how long it took you to really put this film together. I know it's a labor of love for you, but how long was the process?
Yeah, thanks for that question. It took about 5 years, starting with research, archival research, to try and find traces of Queenie, and to make sure that the work was grounded in research that had been done, like field research, anthropological research done around this particular ritual, which involves, by the way, spirit possession, which is a part of Vodun, which is a part of Candomblé and many traditions around the world. So it took some years just to kind of like follow the trail of this particular story and this journey. But then the actual making of it was really about 3 years, and post-production in the US with the sound and the sound design and some animation that we did here as well. So the film was released in September in Trinidad and Tobago, and then it's gone to Memphis. And so this is like its first run in festivals this year.
And what do you hope that people will be able to take away from the experience of watching your film?
Yeah, thanks again for these questions. To really get to the point, I think that I myself really went into this with less openness than I realized, in terms of learning all aspects of our culture, including something like spirit possession, where you connect with the ancestors, whether you want to or not, in a space where you might even be, the idea is that you're actually possessed by a spirit, right? And for us in the Western world, these are concepts that seem a little foreign. And so what I think people can take from the film is to be open, to go on a journey, and to be changed by that.
Pretty interesting things. And so Diarah, before we leave, how can people still participate in the film festival?
So they can visit our website. It's nyadiff.org. And that's the best place to get all the information. We also have schedules at the various theaters that people can pick up to have something on paper that they can study if they want to. And nyadiff.org is the place to go.
Nyasha, well, thank you for being with us. Diarah, thank you for being with us as well. And congratulations on the film, and hopefully much success for the both of you. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so
much.
All righty. Well, viewers, if you want more information, you can visit the website at nyadiff.org, and then follow them on Facebook and Twitter at nyadiff. Don't go anywhere. We've got more open right after this.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, we love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
Hey, boss. Okay?
I said I'm fine.
Me the babe, see you in the morning with the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it, and we lost it.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
STEM is everywhere. Like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that could be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker hordes.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
And we are back. Lehman College's School of Continuing and Professional Studies has a long tradition of serving adult students. Now, their undergraduate program offers a range of support services to help adults 25 and older make a successful transition back to college. Joining us now to share more details, we have the academic advisor and adjunct lecturer of adult degree program at Lehman College School of Continuing Professional Studies, Johnny Lozada, and lower school admission coordinator at Riverdale Country School, Eula Manning. And thank you so much for joining us both.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And Johnny, I'll start with you. You know, really when we talk about being that young adult and maybe you stepped away from college, maybe you never took the initiative to go to college, getting in the door can sometimes be the hardest step. I know for you that's your passion and what you're doing, of making sure that there's this transition, and also not just a transition, but the opportunity for a path for success.
Well, I take it personal because it is a part of my own personal journey. I was an adult student not so long ago. 2011, I decided to go back to school at the urging of my teenage son at the time, because he told me at the time, he's like, "Hey, Dad, why do I have to go to school if you don't have your diploma?" So I looked at him in shock. I was like, "What are you talking about?" So what I've learned is that you can't talk about it, you have to be about it. So what I decided to do is I decided to get my GED, and I thought that would be the end of my journey. But somebody recognized my talent, and I was able to transition into an associate's program at LaGuardia Community College. And somebody recognized my talent there, and I was able to transition into a full ride at NYU, and I graduated with honors as well. And I recently got my degree in organizational leadership at the graduate level. And I take a personal stake in every student that I meet up with because, like I said, I see myself in each and every student. And as you stated earlier, I'm very passionate about it because what we like to do is we like to provide our holistic admissions advisement policy to make the process so much easier for an adult student. One of the things that adult students usually come to us and complain about when it comes to transitioning to school is like they feel like they have no voice. They feel like there's nobody in their corner. And that's where the adult degree program comes in. We make sure that we try to remove all the obstacles for our adult students to ensure their success. And our successes, as you'll hear from Ms. Manning, our successes are we have a lot of them, and we're so proud of our graduates and our current students as well.
Yeah. Eula, I'm going to bring you in here and share a little bit about the success, but talk about the work that you do and the success that's translated from it.
I work at Riverdale Country School. I am the lower school admission coordinator. I've been in this role for about the last 5 or 6 years. I also work as the middle and upper school transportation coordinator. So organizing buses, making sure students get to where they need to be, organizing trips. Yeah, for me, going back to school just gave me a lot more confidence. It gave me the ability to just polish what I already knew, but it really gave me more confidence in the ability to do what I do well.
And when we talk about these students, they have an opportunity to really get an adult degree. Johnny, you kind of talked about it earlier, what it meant to you. What do you think it means in the lives of some adults to be able to have that degree, even though it may not be at the traditional age of graduation that we are most accustomed to seeing, but to have it as an adult?
Well, like our motto says, it's never too late. So we've had students come to us at various ages from 25 to 55 to 75. And in each case, it's always that sense of accomplishment that comes from obtaining your degree. And what I always tell my students is that an education is something that they can never take away from you. So I want you to revel in it, enjoy it, and really soak it up, because this is an accomplishment. You know, not many people can do it, and you've done it. Even, especially with a busy lifestyle that a lot of our adult students are leading, they managed to make a sacrifice and really buckle down and get this degree. So we are so proud of our students.
Students know that, I could just say they know that it's going to be a little bit of a challenge when in terms of getting back into school, getting back into the driver's seat and making that successful transition. But there is something called life experience, where a lot of these adults have had life experience. Give us a little bit about how life experience actually correlates in the credits and possibly even shortening that ride for some students that are going to be taking this college journey.
Well, what it could actually do, what we like to say here is that your life experience counts towards something. In some cases, I liken it to the individual who's been working in an accounting firm for 20 years, but doesn't have the bachelor's degree. But their life experience can be evaluated by a respective department and can be awarded credit. In some cases, we've had students expedite their graduation by 1 to 2 semesters just on the strength of our life experience course. It's the hallmark of our program, and a lot of our students have not only used it as a means to get out of school sooner, but it's been a point of reflection, and it's really allowed our students to look back on their experiences and issue it value, and to really step back and revel in their accomplishments.
Eula, you talked a little bit about the few years that you've been in the program. Talk to us about what you're seeing right now in terms of student involvement and student success.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I recently graduated, and during my time there through the program, it was a lot of fun. You know, you mentioned earlier about some adult students having a little bit of nerves or anxiety, panic attacks, for really, to go back to school. And that's something that I saw through my courses. The strength and the help from the ADP advisors just gave me that ability to go in and speak with other adult students, and we made friends, right? So we got to lean on each other and kind of be each other's crutch to go through the process where you mentioned it wasn't easy, but we did it, right? We all had a good time, and we learned from each other, and we worked hard. We learned to, pivot our times around what we needed to pivot for study groups, and we managed. We got through it. It was a lot of work, but we enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Johnny, let's go back for a second. If somebody's interested in being a part of the adult degree program, what is the criteria for somebody to say, listen, I want to go after this degree?
Well, you apply to CUNY.edu. The first step is to apply to CUNY itself. Then you'll inform us that you applied to CUNY, and we have our dedicated admissions counselor who will obtain your application and walk you through the process from that. We invite you to attend one of our information sessions just so you can get more information on our program, and we can also walk you through the process. And if you have difficulty of getting to a computer, you can always visit us here at Carmen Hall Room 128, and we can have you apply here in-house. The goal is to keep everything under one umbrella, where we call ourselves a one-stop shop per se, but unfortunately we don't have a financial aid coordinator yet, but maybe one day we will. But we want to make sure that our students come to us through the front door. We walk them into the front door, and we walk them all the way through the process, all the way to graduation.
And also for a student that could potentially be coming through the door, there are day and evening sessions available?
Yes, there are. We keep very late. We keep advising hours up until 7 o'clock. Our office hours are up until 7 o'clock, 3 days a week. And on Thursdays, we have, we're open until 6 o'clock. And on Fridays, we're open until 3 o'clock. We're very responsive to emails. We have somebody manning the emails all the time. So it's just a matter of you reaching out to us, and we'll take it from there.
And Eula, before we go, give us your perspective and why you think somebody should take advantage of this program.
Great question. I think it's a great program. I speak very highly about it still. Their family, and to know that they had my back when I was at a very, not a low point, but at a crossroad in my life where I was just looking for something. They were absolutely there to guide me by the hand, walk me through step by step. As an adult, I tell you, it is scary. I was very nervous and anxious about going back. But I tell you, May came and I saw Mr. Lozada there as I walked to get my cords. I graduated with honors. As I was there and I graduated, it was well worth all the work that I was able to put in. And it is work, but it is so worth it. The reward is worth it at the end. Everyone, if you could do it, you should. It is so beneficial.
Well, you sold me. I think it's not hard to sell other people as well. But thank you so much for sharing your testimony about how it's really impacted your life. And also, Johnny, thank you for the work that you continue to do to get these students back in and leaving with a degree.
We're here for them. Visit us on social media. Send us an email, adult.degree@lehman.cuny.edu, and we'll take care of the rest. The adult degree program is here for adult students.
Well, we'll make sure. I want to let our viewers know for more information. Don't hesitate. Visit the website, lehman.edu, and follow them on Facebook at adult.degree.Lehman College. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more right after this.
So much. Fostering a pet for a friend or neighbor can keep families together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
You can now watch MNN, Brick TV, QPTV, and SIC TV on BronxNet. Tune in to BX Omni, Channel 67 Optimum, 2133 Fios during most Sunday evenings. We'll show you some amazing content from our friends at Manhattan Neighborhood Network, Brick TV in Brooklyn, Queens Public Television, and Staten Island Community Television. Every borough represented in the Boogie Down. Epic partnerships for the ages. And catch our new Next channel, produced in partnership with MNN, 24/7 on BronxNet Channel 952 Optimum and 2138 Fios.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is me? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You didn't turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, we love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
And we are back. The Albert Einstein College of Medicine recently appointed our next guest with a new leadership position. She's working to help increase diversity, enhance inclusion, and advance equity for the college's current and prospective students, staff, as well as faculty. And joining us now is the Senior Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion and Professor of Medicine at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, Dr. Lynne M. Holden. And Dr. Holden, glad to have you with us. Congratulations and a new appointment. What does this mean for you?
Well, thank you. First of all, it's indeed an honor to be here. It's huge. It's really very an honor to serve in the position and an honor to have been selected for the position. So certainly diversity, equity, and inclusion is a top priority of the medical school. And it has been something I've been working towards for my whole career. I am now a professor of emergency medicine. And it certainly is being on the front line, something that I encounter every day.
As for you, talk to me about your vision. What do you see happening? What do you see that you'd like to see happen through your new position?
Absolutely. Well, as you know, Einstein is both a medical school and a graduate school. And certainly we have seen with COVID the need to have health equity throughout all of our communities. And so it is my hope that we will be able to utilize this position as the Senior Associate Dean to be able to weave collaboratively, like a symphony, the diversity and inclusion throughout the medical school, not only for the students, but also for the faculty and the staff and the patients that we serve.
So for yourself, talk to me about who you are. You know, you've got a great background, tremendous background. Talk to us about how you got to where you are today.
Wow, thank you very much. It's been a journey, that's for sure. So I started out wanting to be a doctor when I was 6 years old. I used to watch a show called Marcus Welby, MD, which is probably dating myself, but wanted to be that person to help everyone feel better. And fast forward to my undergrad at Howard University, my medical school at Temple. And it was during that time that I really was able to see how important social justice is and how important it is to take care of all populations to the best of my ability, which is why I went into emergency medicine, because I feel that emergency medicine, yes, you're on the front lines, but oftentimes we're the only healthcare practitioners that people see. So we have those teachable moments. We have those moments when we can impact patients' lives for the better. And my work has extended to actually starting a nonprofit called Mentoring in Medicine, where we expand the pool of competitive applicants when it comes to first-generation students, immigrants, and those students who are underrepresented in medicine. So we take those students who have a little hiccup and really try to help them starting in pre-K all the way through career to realize their dream of becoming a scientist or a health professional. In fact, we've helped almost 500 students become physicians who were told no. So that transitions now into this position as Senior Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion, so that we can not only reach out to the community and try to recruit students to come here to Einstein, but also show them how important it is for them to learn an integrated medical curriculum so that they can take care of all the patients that we serve here in the Bronx.
For yourself, obviously, diversity and inclusion is the word of the day. But what does it mean when it comes to Einstein Med and diversity and inclusion? What would you like to see accomplished here?
Absolutely. So on a couple fronts, first of all, I'd like to see that the students not only see that diversity, equity, and inclusion are important, but also belonging. The Office of Diversity Enhancement has just celebrated 40 years here at Einstein. And I think it's important that the community knows that the students here are embraced, that the community knows that the students are learning about all aspects of social determinants, what we call, of health, all things that can impact health, and also that the community knows that they are welcome to participate in our programs. And especially those students who say, you know what, I'm in college, I'm in high school, I may want to be a doctor. Well, we have programs for you, and we want you to be inspired and encouraged, empowered, and educated about health and science as a career. For our students, I want them to know that we're here to embrace you. We're here to help you not only understand health, science, but also how you can make a difference in your community. Not only your community here in the Bronx, but the larger communities that you will serve when you leave here.
I was losing my little earpiece here for a minute, but I'm glad I think I can fix it here and get it and talk to you at the same time. But I want to talk to you about seeing people from the perspective of diversity. What we see a lot of times in the healthcare field, we don't see people who reflect people of color. And many times that can be a turnoff. We've heard that said several times when we've done interviews during COVID, that we really don't see people who look like us. Can you talk about the importance of having a cultural competence within the medical profession?
Absolutely. First of all, I want to say that we are here, that we may not be in the numbers that we would like, but certainly we do have practitioners of color who are here, first generation immigrant, all diverse practitioners are here. And I think it's important that everyone knows that that there's something called cultural competency, but we also have to realize that all people who are faculty here at Einstein and other places, they want to help you. So for example, many of my mentors, my role models do not look like me, but certainly they have been influential, very influential in helping me to get to where I am today. So it's very important to keep an open mind, to utilize resources that are out there, but also to remember your community and the fact that you are there to help your community. True, we are less than 12% Black and Hispanic physicians nationally, but that number is growing. And again, we have to make sure that we let our young people know that this is a viable career option, that they are wanted and that they are needed, and we're here to help them.
So for more information, what do people do?
Well, for more information, they can certainly go to our website at einsteinmed.edu, and they can find out more of the Office of Diversity and Inclusion and the programs that we have here for the community, for students who are interested, outreach and pathway programs for students who are interested in pursuing health and science careers.
And do you feel as though there have been great improvements and strides made in this area?
Well, I think there have been some improvements. Of course, there's room for more improvement, and we are staying on top of the latest that's happening across the country so that we can become a national leader when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging.
Dr. Lynne Holden, who is the Senior Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion at Einstein and Professor of Emergency Medicine at Einstein, we thank you so much for being with us and sharing. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Yes, and congratulations again. Now, for more information, we want you to visit the website at einsteinmed.edu and then follow them on Twitter and Instagram at EinsteinMed. We encourage you to don't go anywhere. We've got more open. We'll be right back right after this.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
You can now watch MNN, Brick TV, QPTV, and SIC TV on BronxNet. Tune in to BX Omni, Channel 67 Optimum, 2133 Fios during most Sunday evenings. We'll show you some amazing content from our friends at Manhattan Neighborhood Network, Brick TV in Brooklyn, Queens Public Television, and Staten Island Community Television. Every borough represented in the Boogie Down. Epic partnerships for the ages. And catch our new Next channel, produced in partnership with MNN, 24/7 on BronxNet Channel 952 Optimum and 2138 Fios.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Thanks for hearing me out, bro.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
And welcome back. The medical malpractice attorneys at Duffy and Duffy are widely recognized for their premier advocates of victims of medical negligence. Now, recently, a jury awarded an $80 million medical malpractice verdict on behalf of a young man who suffered profound and permanent neurocognitive injuries as a result of the negligence of Jacoby Medical Center in the Bronx. Joining us now to share more, we've got lead attorney at Duffy and Duffy Law Firm. We've got James LiCalzi. And James, thank you so much for being with us. And $80 million is a large settlement for medical malpractice. It says definitely negligence was in the balance. Talk to us about this case and what you found to be the most important.
Sure. First of all, Daren, the verdict was for $80 million. There was a settlement for a lower amount while the jury was deliberating. The most interesting thing about this case, and I think the jury sent the message that it was a wake-up call to the City of New York, the Health and Hospitals Corporation, that the care for these Bronx families has to improve. So I think that's the biggest takeaway from this matter. You know, Hakeem is a profoundly injured young man. He's unable to speak. He's nonverbal. He didn't learn how to walk until he was 9 years old. He had a feeding tube in for 7 years. He had a tracheostomy, a breathing tube in his neck for 5 years. His mother, Teresa, is a remarkable woman who has dedicated her entire life to caring for this young man. And what I'm most proud about is the money recovered is going to allow him to be properly cared for the remainder of his life. So Teresa, you know, Daren, we're all not going to live forever. So Teresa is, you know, has the comfort knowing if she's no longer around to care for Hakeem, that the money is there to properly care for him, you know, when she's no longer with us.
Please acquaint our viewers with the circumstances with regards to the case. Of course, as we said, this now affecting Jacoby Medical Center in the Bronx. But for somebody who's not so familiar with the case, let's take them through it real quickly.
Sure. So Teresa was 31 years old at the time that she became pregnant with Hakeem. It's actually her sixth pregnancy. She had all prior preterm or premature deliveries. That's when a baby's delivered before full term, right. Which is anywhere between 38 and 40 weeks. And unfortunately, she, you know, in the past, she actually had one child who was a miscarriage. But Hakeem, when Teresa became pregnant with Hakeem, her history was well known to her doctors, that she had prior premature births. And in fact, in the pregnancy just prior to Hakeem's, she was diagnosed with a condition called an incompetent cervix or cervical insufficiency, where the cervix, which is the the part of the lower uterine segment, it connects the vagina to the uterus. It just was not sufficiently strong to maintain the pregnancy. So they put a stitch in her this prior pregnancy called a cerclage in an effort to provide strength to keep the cervix closed to try to get the baby as far as long in the pregnancy as possible. Unfortunately, with Hakim's pregnancy, when she was referred to the high-risk clinic at Jacobi Medical Center, she was referred with this diagnosis of incompetent cervix. It was known that she had an incompetent cervix. It was known she had a cerclage in this prior pregnancy, but unfortunately, the doctors who cared for her at Jacobi at the high-risk maternal fetal medicine clinic, whether didn't recognize it in a timely manner, ignored it, or really at the trial, they took the position they thought, based on her history, she really didn't have this condition. However, they never made any efforts to get the records from St. Barnabas Hospital, where she had this prior pregnancy, where they diagnosed this condition, where they treated it with this cerclage. And the ideal treatment for this condition is something called a prophylactic or history-indicated cerclage, to do it between 13 and 16 weeks gestation. They missed that window. And on top of that, to make matters worse, they didn't monitor her cervix. There's a medical test, a diagnostic imaging test called a transvaginal sonogram, where they can monitor the condition of the cervix to try to get ahead of the curve. If they see it shortening or opening up, they can intervene in a timely manner, and they didn't do that here either. They missed the window for both these really vital, important things to keep this baby safe while he was in utero. And all this led to the baby being born, Hakim being born at 23 weeks gestation, which is really on the edge of what's called viability. 70% of these children who are born at 23 weeks don't survive. 30% of them who do survive, the vast majority of them have profound neurocognitive and intellectual disabilities like Hakim. So literally all the medical testimony, 9 doctors testified during the course of this trial. Everyone acknowledges every day in utero at 23, 24 weeks makes a huge difference. And unfortunately, this mother and this baby were deprived of the ability to stay in utero for as long as possible to avoid these devastating consequences of a preterm or premature birth, what's called extreme prematurity at 23 weeks. And it's really very sad.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the fact that you were able to successfully go against Jacobi Medical Center and receive this settlement. We understand the jury came through with the verdict. Later on, a settlement amount was reached. But to prove medical malpractice, to prove medical negligence, a lot of people feel as though it's an uphill battle. Give us some insight as to what is necessary to prove medical negligence if somebody's out there saying, listen, I think I may have been wrong, I need some help.
Listen, it is always an uphill battle. It's a challenge in every case, in every one of my clients, to establish and prove medical negligence. Just because it's so hard to get a jury to understand or believe that a physician, committed negligence in their care. What's needed is, first of all, an attorney who's going to know every bit of the record, the medical records backwards and forwards, and then on top of that, have the ability and the resources to consult with and retain appropriate medical experts who during the course of the trial are called to testify and explain to the jury what exactly was done wrong here. So, by a good attorney who's able to understand the medicine, know what's in the records, explain it to a jury, and then produce a medical expert who's able to communicate to the jury what departures, the technical term is departures or deviations from the accepted standards of care, what those departures or deviations were. That is really the biggest challenge in these cases, to really, get the jury to understand what proper medical care is or was, and how the healthcare providers failed in these particular circumstances. So that's really the greatest challenge.
Yeah, and so when can a person actually take the time to file a lawsuit? When is the moment that you know that I can go forward with a lawsuit?
Sure. So in New York, if you're an adult, you have 2.5 years from the time of the negligence to file a lawsuit. If you are an infant, you have 10 years from the date of your birth. Or if it's a birth injury case, or 2.5 years from the time you turn 18, as long as it's within that 10-year period, depending on when the negligence occurred. So those are the time frames. But really, people are smart. People have common sense. They understand. And listen, medicine's, there's not always guarantees that things are going to go well. All right, it's unfortunate. There's no guarantees, and medicine is really more of an art than a science. But if your doctor's not communicating things properly, sometimes you get a roll of the eyes from a nurse or from one of the doctors, people can tell when something is wrong, when something went wrong, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask physicians to explain themselves. To nurses to explain themselves why something happened. Could this have been found sooner? You may not get a direct answer, but I think most people really, when they have a gut feeling that something went wrong with either themselves or their loved ones or their pregnancy, and obviously someone, whether they get seriously hurt, whether they're damaged, whether, God forbid, they pass away, that's when they should consult with an attorney. But really, timeliness is important. When memory is fresh. So I'm not saying while you're in the hospital, get on the phone with your attorney. But if you get out of the hospital or something happens to a loved one, if you really feel something went wrong, reach out to an attorney, reach out to Duffy and Duffy, and we'll give you at least some insight as to, do we think something happened here that's improper? And then we have to follow up with getting the medical records and reviewing them and consulting with appropriate experts.
How big, or how high, should I say, is that threshold when you're trying to prove medical negligence? Because I think the reason that some people don't hesitate to, or do hesitate to do it, is because there is such a high threshold.
Well, listen, it's certainly the legal threshold is not like a criminal case. Criminal case is beyond a reasonable doubt. But in a civil case, you have to convince a jury. And there's 6 jurors in civil cases, and only 5 of the 6 of them have to agree on any particular question. You have to establish that it's more probable than not that this deviation or departure from accepted medical standards occur, and that deviation or departure caused damages and injury to the individual. So it is challenging. It does take individuals or firms who have resources. These cases are fiercely litigated. There's very good attorneys who always represent healthcare providers, who represent hospital systems and hospitals. So it is challenging, but just because it's challenging doesn't mean you don't, investigate it. And if it's warranted, go through with it.
All righty. Well, James LiCalzi gave us some great information there. Again, thank you for your work. And we'll continue to follow this story and then much more. Thanks for being with us.
Darren, thank you so much. Take care.
All righty. Well, we want our viewers to know, for more information, you can visit the website at duffylaw.com, and then follow them on Twitter at DuffyLaw. Well, we've come to the end of our show today. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us and you, the viewer, for watching. And if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch Recablecast on Optimum's Channel 67, Verizon Files Channel 2133, or watch anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. You can also catch a brand new episode of Open with Rena Valentine on Friday. This wraps up this episode of Open. I'm Daren Jaime, telling you to make sure to keep this channel wide open. We say take care, God bless.